Hello, welcome back to Curlington Stories. If you're new here, welcome to you too. Today, as usual, we'll be talking about two stories that I came across that really caught my attention. Kind of carry over a little bit of a similar theme, though being pretty independently different on their own. So the first story is going to be about a controversy stemming around the usage of shampoo. Now, it's not that simple, obviously, that'd be boring. But the topic at hand includes 3 children, the middle child of which looks quite different from the other two, which is given the father in this scenario a suspicion that perhaps this child isn't his, and as such, he treats her very differently. And yes, shampoo is a big part of that, but we'll get to that in a little while. The second story is a bit sad. The original poster here in this equation had a fiance who passed away unfortunately and has a mixed child who inherited quite a few genes from the father here. And as a result of that, people think that the father has just completely abandoned this child or that she is adopted, which has created some confrontations that have been very unsavory. But anyway, let's get into it. Am I the asshole for making my daughter use dollar store shampoo and conditioner? My wife and I have 3 daughters. Oldest is 16, middle is 14, and youngest is 10. My entire family and my wife's family all has straight hair. My oldest and youngest also have straight hair. Then there's my middle with curly blonde hair and green eyes. The rest of the family has brown hair and brown eyes. I admittedly am not very close with her because I had doubts that she was mine. I had a hard time bonding with her due to that. My middle daughter insists that she needs special shampoo and conditioner because of her curly hair. She found some that wasn't too expensive, so I bought it for her. But she goes through the conditioner like water. She came to me after a little over a month and said that she needed another bottle. I told her she doesn't and that her conditioner should last her at least a month, but probably longer, but she insists that you need to use a lot of conditioner for curly hair. I bought her another bottle and told her to use less because she wasn't getting another one for at least 2 months. Used it again in a month. So I bought her shampoo and conditioner from the dollar store. She had a meltdown about how this is going to ruin her hair and that she just got it to a place where she liked it and it was manageable. She blames us for her hair being uncontrollable for most of her life because we didn't learn how to take care of curly hair, even though it's not different from straight hair. She even threatened to shave her head, which I know she won't do because she's obsessed with her hair. Now she's refusing to speak to me and she's being extremely disrespectful to me and my wife. My wife thinks we should just give in, but I think she needs to learn her lesson. Am I the asshole? Are you the asshole? Denying your daughter the shampoo she needs to take care of her hair or conditioner, treating her differently because you have a sneaking suspicion that perhaps she's not yours. Are you the asshole? Yes, 100%. What did this child do to deserve to be treated differently, to be treated unfairly, to not get what she needs to take care of her hair? Let me answer that for you. Absolutely nothing. Even if your child still was the product of infidelity from your wife, which you haven't proven, you just have this sneaking suspicion of, which we'll talk about in a moment. Even if that were to be the case, that's not her fault. That's not the girl's fault. She didn't do anything. Regardless of if you're her biological father or not, that's what she believes you are. So when you treat her differently, that's gonna fall heavy on her conscience, on her mind, on her emotions, on everything. It's not fair. It's not right. And you should know that. You should know better. You should be mature and understand that. And plus, if you have this sneaking suspicion, why have you chosen not to confirm it a much longer time ago? At this point, if you did it, it would probably be an issue. It's probably best not to, honestly. But that's just my weird opinion, but that's because I feel like that would F up their family dynamic really bad. And I don't know if maybe if the mother deserves that, but the kids definitely don't. So I really don't know. That is a touchy subject. I'm not going to really talk about that in detail because I really don't know. I've never been in that situation. Don't have a clue how to navigate that. However, I do want to talk about something that could potentially bring this person comfort. The setup that this girl has isn't impossible at all. Now, somebody who actually understands a bit about genetics and all that, I can give you guys a little bit of an insight on what I mean by that. So everybody in his family, everybody's got brown hair, brown eyes. And this middle child has blonde hair and green eyes. So first off, this confirms automatically that the wife's family has blonde hair and green eyes somewhere in their coding. Those are both recessive, and brown is obviously dominant, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible for those traits to manifest in one of their children. Now, let me explain. If the husband's family has either of those traits in their gene line as well, even if they haven't shown up, like you can't say anybody that I've seen in my family has shown up with blonde hair and green eyes ever. You haven't seen it for, a long time. Doesn't mean that somebody further and further down the line didn't have that. They're recessive, so if the dominant trait, which are the brown eyes, brown hair, if those show up at all when this baby's being made, well, guess what? You could have all of those traits. Now, I know extremely unlikely. You're looking at some very low chances of rolling that possibility. But despite how unlikelier things have happened, I mean, people win the lottery, and that is a significantly improbable chance of ever happening. This is so much more likely in comparison. So, hey, that very well could be your kid. And you should, regardless, treat her as such, especially since you've gone 14 years of her life with her thinking at the very least that you are her biological father. Now, again, I don't want to get into the touchiness of whether he should go confirm that's his child or not. Regardless, you are her father, whether biological or not. And that means you should not treat her any fucking differently. That is selfish and immature and bratty. Now, on to the actual shampoo, conditioner, hair thing itself. She obviously does need tailored shampoo and conditioner for curly hair. I would know. I got some of that myself. And yeah, probably more of it. Our hair tangles more easily. You're gonna need more conditioner to combat that. You are literally running the risk of damaging this poor girl's hair by going to the goddamn dollar store and getting some medieval concoction that would probably rot the roots of her hair straight off if she used it too much. Terrible idea. She'd probably have better luck using battery acid. This is unbelievably silly. You need to treat her better. That is your child. Why would you ever mistreat your own child? Regardless if she's biological or not, that is your daughter. But anyway, that's all I'm gonna say about this. I'll read a couple comments, and then I also want to know what you guys think. You're the asshole. Wow. Yes, women with curly hair do need a different type of shampoo and conditioner. Other store shampoo is likely going to damage her hair. Also, do you not understand how traits are passed on? Was there a reason besides your daughter's physical features that you thought she wasn't yours, causing you to not properly bond with her? You suck. You're the asshole. Exactly. Now, a lot of the comments are actually about like the shampoo and conditioner and stuff, which I'm not going to read all of these, but it's, a lot of people just kind of singing the same tune of like, hey, yeah, she absolutely needs what she's requesting, and you're being an asshole by not providing it for some weird reason. And this is something that I wondered too, but I didn't state it explicitly. Where the F is mom in all of this? Like, my wife and I read this together. That was like one of my first thoughts. But can't she buy her daughter conditioner? Sounds like the dad rules the roost. Why don't she learn to care for her daughter's hair? I'm disgusted by this post. I hope this poor kid moves out the minute she's 18 and never looks back. No, that's a seriously good question. Where is mom in all of this? It sounds like mom isn't particularly present in these situations, and that might not be her fault. This could be a dictator father situation. We don't know the details. He didn't talk about that. Obviously, there's always going to be some bias in these posts, and maybe he's not telling the full story. Maybe mom is like, no, she needs this, but I don't know. Either way, the fact that neither of them took an effort to learn how to take care of curly hair is bewildering to me. Like, just because it's different from what you have doesn't mean you shouldn't learn what needs to be done to help your daughter. Like, that's just selfish and silly. Now let's move on to the second story. Am I the asshole for embarrassing someone and making her feel bad after she made an incorrect assumption about my situation? I, 26F, have 2 children. My daughter is 4, almost 5. My son is 8 months old. My dad and I were engaged and a week away from getting married when he died. I was pregnant with our son at the time, and the loss was absolutely devastating. It's been nearly a year, and it feels like it was just yesterday. Kids are biracial. Their dad was black, and I'm very much not. He and I used to joke that my genes didn't make an impact in the slightest because my daughter looks just like his sister. My son looks just like him. I've gotten looks from people before, and occasionally someone will just randomly ask when I adopted them. But usually people mind their own business. Dude, as they should. I mean, the audacity of just assuming that these kids are adopted. And why do you even have to voice that? Even if you think it, why do you think that you should voice that? Because what if you're wrong? Like in this situation, you just end up looking like an ass. I was at the farmer's market with my kids, just looking around instead of really shopping. My fiance and I used to take our daughter to the one near our old house every Sunday. And when I moved after he died, I found a market nearby to take the kids to and keep the tradition. My daughter wanted to pick a pumpkin for us to carve, so I let her go up to the stand and choose which one she wanted. While she was looking, a woman and her son came up to where we were, and the son went ahead to go and pick a pumpkin as well. I've seen her around the market before, so I did recognize her, but we don't know one another. She and I started talking, and she pointed to my engagement ring asking if I wore it so that people wouldn't make assumptions. And here you are, making an assumption. Wow. I asked her to elaborate on that, and she said that she's never seen me with the kid's dad before, so she figured that I was a single parent. I wore a ring so that people wouldn't think that. Then she added that it probably didn't help that my kids were black, and I wasn't, since that stereotype is so common. I stared at her for a second, because that felt like an insane thing to say to a stranger. But then I told her that my kid's father would have loved to be involved and present now had he not died when our daughter was 3 and our son was in the uterus. And that I wear the ring because he died before I even got to be his wife. He got pretty quiet and looked visibly pale. But by then, my daughter had picked the pumpkin she wanted, so I paid and we left without saying anything else to her. I ended up telling my sister about what happened when she had called me later. She said that while she totally understood that the woman was out of line, I didn't have to dump all that on her and embarrass her because she made an ignorant comment. My sister thinks it was unfair of me to do that to a stranger when she really didn't know my circumstances. Honestly, I've been an emotional wreck for the past year now, so I have no clue if I genuinely went overboard with this or not. This might be one of the most simple verdicts ever. Absolutely not the asshole. In fact, your sister's kind of an asshole for even insinuating that you might be an asshole. That is crazy work, but we'll come back to that. Let's talk about this in essence. First off, this stranger had no business coming up to you like this, making an assumption about your engagement ring. How do you even make such a crazy leap? Think about that. Just because you haven't seen the kid's father when she goes to this market on Sunday doesn't mean he's not in the picture. Have you ever considered the possibility perhaps that maybe he works at that time and maybe that's the only time that she is able to take her kids there? Have you ever considered that possibility? Or maybe that's the only time you see them there. You don't know. That is a crazy fucking leap. Like, I don't even know how you think that. I feel like, honestly, that this whole opinion is rooted in racism. I think she just saw this family without the father being there and just automatically assumed, oh, deadbeat black father, nowhere to be seen, typical stereotype, this poor white girl, let me go comfort her. That is disgusting. And you know that that's where it comes from, especially since she brought up the stereotype deliberately and called it, honestly, like, I just have to shake my head at that one. Like, that is just an unbelievable amount of like narcissism. I can't even fully fathom, can't even fully process it. Now, her reaction to this, all she said was, no, this is why. I mean, she asked the question and she responded with the answer. It's not your job to protect someone else's feelings, especially when they do it to themselves. They put their own feelings in danger effectively by making these assumptions where they could be humbled and corrected for being an ass. She put herself in harm's way. I think her response to this was appropriate. Some people need to be put in their fucking place so they can learn a valuable lesson and maybe never do something stupid like this again. They can learn from their ignorance. If you will just allow people to be indefinitely ignorant, well, you're doing harm to them in the sense that you're not giving them an opportunity to grow and be better. Correcting her here, telling her that she was wrong and what was correct, humbling her and making her see the asshole in the mirror for a moment may actually be a good thing for her, because now she's gonna have to think twice about saying such insensitive, ignorant things going forward. Now, she may not learn from this at all. She might still feel and act the same way towards people, or maybe she will grow. We don't know. But the point is, you gave her that opportunity and you shut down that disrespect that she was putting on your late who was supposed to be your husband. I mean, what was she supposed to do? Just let her disrespect her husband and her family like that? Fuck that. You should stand up for yourself, and somebody's gonna come up there and effectively bully you, even if it's not intentional. You shouldn't stand for that. Letting this person carry on thinking that you have this deadbeat husband who you obviously don't see that way It's just not the move. Like, that is just unbelievably sad to have lost your husband and to know that there's people around you that think he's a deadbeat asshole that doesn't show up for your kids. It's just sad. This person's clearly very torn about this and is still coping to this day. She doesn't need this kind of bullshit in her life. And I think it is shameful that the sister would say something like this. Shame on her. She needs to do better. What's more important, your own sister's feelings or some random ass stranger? I feel like that should be obvious, but I guess not. Some people are oblivious to the obvious. So we'll read a few comments here, but I'm mostly interested in what you guys think. So, not the asshole. Very cut and dry here. The stranger made a bunch of racist assumptions and fully deserved to be shut down. If it embarrassed her in the process, good. Exactly. Precisely what I'm saying. The original poster responded to this by saying, truthfully, the stereotype comments what threw me for a loop. I think if she hadn't added that part, I probably would have been more tactful in my response. And then this person here responds, you don't need to be more tactful when some random stranger makes ignorant and racist comments to you. In fact, you were too tactful. Maybe she'll think twice before opening her mouth again. Not the asshole. Honestly, if this had been like my wife in this situation, my wife is not a violent person. It takes the right kind of asshole to make her a violent person. And she is, like I said, she is not a violent person. She has never hit anybody. But I guarantee you, she would have sent this person to Valhalla, figuratively, of course, in Minecraft. Like, my wife is very much a pacifist, but she would not have stood for that. I guarantee you that much. She'd probably go to jail for some shit like that, because that is just unbelievably disrespectful. I mean, some people are such closeted racists that they don't even know. Like, this person might be that. They might be an out there in the open racist, but I don't know. It's hard to say. They're giving closeted racists, like they're just like oblivious to how racist they are, but it's there. It's ingrained in them, which is unfortunate that we still see that in this day and age, but it's not something that will ever just disappear overnight. But anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you did enjoy, feel free to like and subscribe button. Until next time.